This is the CircuitDeuxMontagnes circuit near Montreal, Quebec, and the site of round 5 of the Castrol National Superbike Series, the Suzuki Challenge. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our next to last race to decide the Canadian Pro 600 Production and Superbike Championships. With me, Craig Hill of Castrol, Canada, and Craig, a brand new racetrack and two very close championship battles.
Well, in point of fact, Pat, this racetrack's been around for a long time. I know that I did a lot of Atlantic testing here, chassis testing and things. And the owner of this racetrack, Claude Aban, he's done a tremendous job of cleaning it up, refurbishing the track really well and repaving it, and he's welcomed our national here, and I guess I'm glad to be here.
Well, not all of the riders were happy with this racetrack when they first came here, Craig.
No, not necessarily, but that's the way riders are, Pat. They're never really satisfied. But you know, the top pros are satisfied. The guys that are going fast, they've got dialed in well. It's a very difficult track to ride because it is very tight, and it's a very fast racetrack. I think the fast guys are getting around here in something like around 48 seconds. So you see, the thing is, the guy is never going to get away from the guy that's behind him, and that really makes good racing. I'm looking forward to this race, but you know, I think the guy that's going to win it is going to have an awful lot of finesse, and he's going to have an awful lot of stamina.
Well, one rider who had finesse yesterday was Steve Mckissock. He won his first Sunoco Gold pole position here in qualifying yesterday. Lindley Clark, number 26, the points leader, led early. Positions didn't change for the better part of the race, but then on lap 6, Pascal Picot overshot the back straightaway. That moved Crevier to second, and a lap later he took the lead. He'll go from the pole position today.
So far this year, the pole position hasn't really meant all that much because nobody's won from the pole. But the points championship is very close this year, and here's how the points standings look to date. Lindley Clark has 47, Pascal Picot 39, Steve Crevier is third with 37, Jeff Gaynor has 30, Yves Brisson has 23, Michael Taylor 20, followed by Pilon with 18, McMurder with 15, Etherington with 11, and American Tom Kipp with 10.
It has been an extremely competitive season with 3 different makes scoring Superbike wins. At the season opener at Shannonville, it was Jeff Gaynor on the Mike Crompton prepared Suzuki Canada 750 with the win. Then round number 2 out at Race City Speedway in Calgary saw last year's runner-up in the series, Pascal Picot, score his first win on the Paul Fournier Yves Gay prepared Yamaha 750. Round number 3 back at Shannonville saw Lindley Clark take the points lead and score his first national win on the Rick Hobbs prepared Yamaha. And then Shubenacadie, Nova Scotia for round 4. And it was Steve Crevier scoring the first win for Kawasaki this year on the Harold Surian prepared ZX7.
Well,
600 production qualifier where Lindley Clark scored the win to move to within 1 point of current points leader Pascal Picot. So just a single point separating the two fast Yamaha Racing School riders. But sitting there in 3rd and 4th and ready to move to the front are the 2 Honda riders, Yves Brisson and 54 Mark Kowalski. In fact, just 9 points now separate the top 4 riders going into today's Pro 600 production final. This one will go down to Shannonville, no doubt about it.
Oh, it sure will, Pat. But you think about it, it's been an absolutely great year for Michel Mercier's Fast Yam.
Welcome back to CircuitDeuxMontagnes and the Castrol National Superbike Series. The riders have just completed their warm-up laps in preparation for our Pro 600 production race. Now, points leader Pascal Picot is sitting in the 2nd row, and he'll need a good start to get up there with the front runners. Now here's Craig Hill with the front row of the grid.
Thanks, Pat. And Lindley Clark, riding the lone Yamaha on the front row, has the pole along with Honda CBR 600 riders, Brisson, McMurder, and Wilson. Then it's Mark Kowalski, Pascal Picot, the current points leader, and Steve Wykes, Pro 600 winner of round 3 at Shannonville.
On the inside of row 3, Steve Mckissock from Vancouver, Tom Etherington, Ivan Lanneville, and Clyde McDonald, the Nova Scotia rider. Lone rider in row 4 is Carl McKellar aboard a Honda. The riders revving up the 600cc production machines, and we are away at CircuitDeuxMontagnes. The riders charge off the line heading to turn 1. They'll go in 2-3 wide. It's the Hondas up front, McMurder and Brisson. It is Brisson who comes out of that first turn with the lead as they head up through the S's now into the carousel. It is 23 Brisson, your leader. Number 24 McMurder in the 2nd place spot. Good battle here for 3rd. Number 16 there, Peter Wilson, currently holding on to the third place position. He's about to be challenged down the back straightaway by 26, Lindley Clark. Here goes Clark. He'll pull up alongside of Peter Wilson as McMurder takes a run at his teammate. But it is 23, Brisson, your leader, followed by McMurder. And then it is Clark. And oh, we just had a crash there. 16, Peter Wilson, and number 2, Pascal Picot collided as they came through that little right-hander. There is Picot. His race is through. Picot is okay, but the motorcycle damage, you can tell he is dejected as we look at the leader, Brisson, followed by McMurder, and then right behind now is the hard-charging Lindley Clark, as those 3 riders now have pulled away nicely. About 7 bike lengths separating the 2 Honda Teamsters, Brisson, McMurder, and Lindley Clark, number 26, holding on to the third place position as they head up the back straightaway.
Well, Pat, let's have another look at that first lap accident between number 2 Picot and number 16 Wilson. You can see that Picot loses the front end just at the apex to the corner and takes out a very unsuspecting Peter Wilson. Off they go into the wet because it has rained here for a couple of days, and I'm certain you get a little bit of mud on the corners, just on the apex of the corners. He probably just came in a little too hard.
Well, here is Lindley Clark going in very hard as he tried to take that second place spot away from Ruben McMurder. And here again, Clark taking a completely different line as they come out of the final turn, and they're side by side on the straightaway going into turn 1. Again, wheel to wheel. McMurder trying to hold off Lindley Clark, and he will as they throw those motorcycles into the S's. Brisson, 23, still your leader, but we've got a war going on between 24 McMurder on the Honda and the fast Yamaha Racing School rider Lindley Clark, number 26. It's now about 5 bike lengths separating these front-running 3 riders as they push these production machines at the limit. Tucked in now, they'll sit up, bang it down a couple of gears as they come off of the back straightaway through that fast left-hander. Now they really grab the brakes, drop it down another gear, and oh, Clark has taken over second. McMurder got a little bit too wide in that right-hander and has been shuffled back into the third place spot.
Well, Pat, Lindley now has some incentive to win because his teammate Picot, with that first lap crash and retirement, has left the door open for Lindley to grab some Pro 600 production points with a good finish here today. And that'll put Lindley in the points championship lead going into our final race at Shannonville.
Well, it has been a Honda-Yamaha battle all season long, and here again, we see 2 Hondas and a lone Yamaha fighting for the lead. Lindley Clark on the inside of Brisson. A brilliant late-breaking move by Lindley Clark to grab the lead as they come out of the final turn now. Again, just a few bike lengths separating these top 3 riders. Clark on the Yamaha, 23 Brisson, and his teammate Ruben McMurder on the Hondas. But these 3 riders just all over each other, reminiscent of the great battle that Brisson and McMurder had at Race City Speedway during round 2.
So the standings look like this, with Clark leading over Honda Canada teammates Brisson and McMurder. Then it's Kowalski. Standings look like this, with Clark leading over Honda Canada teammates Brisson and McMurder. Then it's Kowalski and Steve Mckissock from Vancouver. Then it's Steve Wykes, Clyde McDonald, one of our East Coast regulars, Carl McKellar, and Yvonne Lannerville. Just 9 riders out of 12 that started the race.
McMurder taking a look up the inside at the end of the back straightaway, not able to take that second place position away from his teammate Yves Brisson. You know, although these 2 riders run on the same Honda Canada McMurder racing team, they have really pushed each other throughout the season, and it all began back at Daytona in what was a great week of 600 Super Sport racing, and they've continued their excellent riding throughout the Canadian Pro 600 Production Championships. They run 2nd and 3rd and try to chase down that number 26 Yamaha of Lindley Clark. McMurder again taking a look on the inside of Brisson as they went into this carousel, but again just a bike length separating the 2 Honda CBR 600 F2 riders. Clark takes a quick check over the left shoulder on this back straightaway. Back in 4th and 5th, still a good battle between Kowalski and Mckissock. And again, McMurder right there, closing now on Brisson as they come through that tricky little right-hander that put number 16, Peter Wilson, and Pascal Picot out on that opening lap. Lindley Clark, number 26, though, starting to pull away from Brisson and McMurder, who continue their fight for 2nd and 3rd. The riders through turn 1. Now a touch of the brakes, down a gear, perhaps going through this left, right, and left-hand combination. and working their way up that little crest of a hill and into the carousel, but it's still Lindley Clark by several bike lengths. And again, McMurder keeps looking for a way around Brissaw, who will not let him by into that second place position. There's 54 Kowalski having a good ride in fourth. Back in fifth is number 401 Mckissock.
Well, Pat, all these riders are having to find their way around this racetrack today. As you know, it rained yesterday during qualifying, so it's made it very difficult for them now that the track's dried out.
This race for fourth between Kowalski and Mckissock, a good one. They're only a few bike lengths apart, and they appear to be actually catching McMurder and Brissaw and the rest of the riders ahead of them.
Well, third place rider Ruben McMurder has not had a very good year. I asked him earlier if he still has the desire to win, or has the team aspect taken some of his energy away from him?
Well, certainly the team part is a very important aspect of what we're doing now, but I still have a lot of determination to win races, and I feel I'm going faster and faster. And as long as I continue to get faster and feel I can still win, I'm going to stay at it.
Well, out there in this race, I think that Ruben should be a little more careful about his aggressiveness with Yves Brisson, his teammate. You know, Yves still has a chance at the Pro 600 Championship, and Ruben should really be acting more as the protector rather than the aggressor to ensure that Yves comes away from this event with that 12 second place points path.
There's the blue and white last lap flag out for Lindley Clark. Brissaw, number 23, still hanging on to that second place spot. But again, McMurder just continues to put the pressure on. He's half a bike length back as they work their way up over that little rise and into the carousel now for the final time. You would think that McMurder would be running several bike lengths back from Brissaw, because remember, one slight miscue by Brissaw and both riders are going to be off the racetrack. Lindley Clark, number 26, your race leader. There's 23 Brissaw and number 24 McMurder as they run off the back straightaway. McMurder on the inside of Brissaw, who shuts the door again. McMurder, remember, he doesn't have a shot at the championship. His teammate does, and he was just all over Brissaw on that last lap. Here's the checkered flag. Lindley Clark wins it to the line. It'll be Brissaw just ahead of McMurder as the Honda Canada machines finish second and third. But a great ride for Lindley Clark.
Not only a great ride, but a very aggressive ride, and it's official. Lindley Clark wins his second Pro 600 production race this year, followed by Honda-mounted Yves Brisson and Ruben McMurder. Mark Kowalski and Steve Mckissock. Then in sixth is Steve Wykes, another fast Yamaha school rider, with McDonald, McKellar, and Laneville in seventh, eighth, and ninth.
The Superbikes are coming up. It's round 5 of the Castrol National Superbike Series when we return to CircuitDeuxMontagnes, Quebec. Back to CircuitDeuxMontagnes and the Castrol National Superbike Series. The riders have just completed their warm-up laps in preparation for our Superbike final. Pascal Picot starts in the second row. He'll be trying to make amends for his crash in Pro 600 production. His teammate Lindley Clark must be really confident after winning Pro 600 production. Now here's Craig Hill with the front row of the grid.
And on the pole, after setting the lap record here, is Steve Crevier. And Steve will be after his second Superbike win in a row. Next to him is the current Superbike points leader, Lindley Clark. And it'll be Clark's job to try to keep Steve out of the points today. In third is Michael Taylor, a rising star in the Kawasaki camp. Look for a strong ride from Michael today. Fourth is Jeff Gaynor on the Mike Crompton prepared Suzuki, and Jeff needs a good finish today to stay in the hunt for that number 1 plate.
There's your second row. McMurder, Pilon, and Picot. Row 3, Brissaw, Etherington, Steve Wykes, and the rookie Mark Mazenov on a Suzuki. Another first-year rider, Attila Szabo, along with Philippe Savard and Clyde McDonald. And in the last row, Klaus Morley and Brissaw's brother, Mark Brissaw. We are away. And into turn 1, it's 28, Jeff Gaynor, who grabs the lead. 15, Michael Taylor in second, side by side. But Crevier will move around Picot to grab the third place spot. There's a rider off the racetrack. That's Ruben McMurder. He overshot turn 1. I think he may have collided with Lindley Clark, who was running well back. And now we go on board with Pascal Picot running in that fourth place position. Up ahead, we see the Kawasaki's of Crevier and Taylor. And then number 28, your race leader, Jeff Gaynor. Here is Mike Taylor on the inside of Gaynor. He'll take the lead at the end of the back straightaway. A superb outbreaking move by Mike Taylor as he puts the competition wheels, Canadian Kawasaki machine, out in front. 28, Gaynor in second, Crevier, followed by Picot. Then it is Benoit Pilaw. And then back in sixth, it's Yves Brisson. Now we go on board with Steve Crevier, looking for the second place position. He's right up alongside of Jeff Gaynor, but Gaynor just slams the door as they go up through the S's. And again, Crevier knocking on the door, but cannot put his Kawasaki around that blue and white Suzuki Canada machine of Jeff Gaynor. Back through the carousel, and it is still a 5-rider freight train as again they head up onto the back straightaway. Picot, number 2, is all over Crevier for 3rd. There's your race leader, 15, Mike Taylor. Here comes Picot. He'll try on the inside of Crevier, won't do it. And Mike Taylor, number 15, hangs on to the lead. Crevier in 3rd. Number 2, Picot running 4th. And 163, Benoit Pilon, is back in the 5th place position. Benoit having a good ride on that Yamaha 750. They work their way on the short start-finish straightaway into turn 1, and again Crevier alongside of Gaynor, and this time Crevier is able to push the Kawasaki through into the 2nd place position. So it's the 2 green machines. The Kawasaki's running 1-2, and there is Pascal Picot. He will muscle his way inside of Jeff Gaynor to grab 3rd. Oh, Gaynor looked as though he was going to try for the repass, but he won't be able to do it. Now, down the back straightaway they'll go. 15, Taylor, your leader. Number 8, Crevier in 2nd. 2, Picot is 3rd. 28, Gaynor 4th. And Gaynor now coming under pressure from 163, Benoit Pilon. The Kawasaki's flying in formation here as they come through into the final turn. Mike Taylor leading Steve Crevier. Pascal Picot right there in 3rd. And now the front-running 3 riders have opened up some distance on the 4th place man, number 28, Gaynor, as they peel off here and go to turn 1. Crevier definitely on the charge. He was brilliant in qualifying yesterday to start from the pole and pick up those all-important 2 championship points. The riders over that little crest of the hill and back into the carousel, and again just 6 or 7 bike lengths separating the front-running 3.
Well, here we go on board with Steve Crevier as he comes up on his teammate, Pat, and he blows by. But, you know, both those bikes are working so much better than they were at the start of the year.
While Crevier, a little bit more horsepower. Here comes Taylor on the inside. He tried to retake the lead. Michael Taylor riding very aggressively as they work their way back around. Picot is right there on that number 2 Yamaha. But Crevier showing the horsepower on that Harold Surian machine to take the lead on the back straightaway.
And here's number 26, Lindley Clark. He's made up several spots after that first lap incident with Ruben McMurder, and Lindley has his work cut out for him if he's going to salvage any points from this next to last round of our championship, Pat.
Pascal Picot, Craig, now putting the pressure on Mike Taylor as they come out of the carousel and head down the back straightaway. There you can see Crevier taking the quick checker over his shoulder. Here comes Picot. He'll dive in on the inside of Mike Taylor and grab 2nd at the end of the back straightaway. Taylor's machine definitely down on horsepower on the back straightaway, but he is riding the wheels off that number 15 Kawasaki to stay up here with the likes of Crevier and Picot, the front-running 3 riders, out of the final turn and onto this start-finish straightaway. There's 28, Jeff Gaynor in 4th, 163, Pilon in 5th, and there's Clark in 6th.
Taylor's impressed me with this poise here today. I asked him earlier if this was a hard track to ride.
Yeah, it is very physical. It's pretty bumpy, and there's a lot of corners. I enjoy the track. Obviously, it had a good day today, but we've got the bikes set up really well. I have my crew to thank for that, and the Kawasaki's run well here. They're lighter than last year and able to get around the corners pretty fast.
Off the end of the back straightaway, Jeff Gaynor, Benoit Pilon. Oh, look at that late braking move by Lindley Clark as he's able to move around Benoit Pilon now from the onboard Sony Handycam. We take a look at Lindley Clark as he's moved up into that 5th place position. He'll just blow by the Suzuki of Jeff Gaynor on the pit straightaway to grab 4th.
And there are the standings with Crevier still dominating ahead of Picot, Taylor, Clark, and Jeff Gaynor. Then it's Pilon, Brisson, Maisonneuve, Wykes, and McMurder in 10th after his earlier mishap.
They're your lead pair. Crevier, number 8 on the Kawasaki. Number 2, Pascal Picot on the Yamaha.
Well, Steve's riding like a real champion today, and I asked him earlier if he could keep the momentum going to win this championship.
Definitely, because we're on the move. Our Kawasaki team's on the move, and Lindley might start thinking, you know, a little more settled, gotta finish, and Pascal, I think, is going to be the aggressor. But Pascal he's actually a smart rider, and I think he'll be going for it, and I'll be going for it, and we hope to leave Lindley behind us a little bit. That should be the plan, and then I think the real battle from here on in is going to be with Pascal.
While Steve Crevier not having much of a battle right now, he has opened up several bike lengths on Pascal Picot. Crevier running on the pit straightaway. There's Picot, and now Lindley Clark, number 26, your 3rd place rider. And there's 15, Michael Taylor, having a good ride in 4th. Taylor did lead this race early, but has dropped back into that 4th place position. Lindley Clark working his way into the carousel.
Well, Lindley's the guy everybody's chasing for that points lead, and we'll be back with more right after this. Welcome back to CircuitDeuxMontagnes, Quebec, and round 5 of the Castrol National Superbike Championship. I'm Craig Hill along with Pat Gonzalez, and that is second place rider Pascal Picot as he tries to chase down the leader Steve Crevier with Lindley Clark in third, followed by Taylor and Gaynor.
Then in sixth, it's Benoit Pilon, followed by Brisson, McMurder, Maisonneuve, and Philippe Savard. We look at Jeff Gaynor, number 28. He did lead this race early and now comes under fire from Benoit Pilon, number 163. There's Pascal Picot running in the second place position, the man who finished second in the championship a year ago. And Picot, who looked as though he would be the early season favorite to win the championship, but this man, I think, has surprised a lot of people. Lindley Clark, number 26, with Rick Hobbs preparing his Yamaha machines, has had a very consistent run in 1991. The leader, Steve Crevier, off the end of the back straightaway, working his way up onto a couple of back markers. And now we go on board with Steve Crevier. He'll move around the 57 machine there of Klaus Morley, the Canada Ontario rider aboard the Suzuki. And now Crevier coming on the pit straightaway. The rider ahead of him on the racetrack is Mark Maisonneuve, a first-year pro rider, one of our top amateurs from a year ago. Maisonneuve being reeled in a hurry by Crevier as Steve sits right on his rear tire. Now he'll look for the pass, but again, Maisonneuve will slam the door shut, and Crevier very cautiously trying to work his way around the 46 machine of Mark Maisonneuve.
Well, Crevier's a very experienced rider. He's on the last lap, and he's not going to take any chances, Pat.
Little wheelie there from Maisonneuve. Crevier just motions over to Maisonneuve as he just blows right by him on the back straightaway. Here's Crevier bringing that number 8 Kawasaki off of the back straightaway for the final time. He'll be cautious through these last couple of corners. Now into the final turn. Crevier, the checkered flag, just a few hundred yards away as he comes to the line. Here is Crevier, number 8, as he takes the checkered flag for the win. There is Pascal Picot, number 2. He will finish in second. Here's Ruben McMurder, 24, looking for the 7th place spot. That is his teammate Brisson, just ahead of him. The checkered flag out at the line. McMurder alongside, and he will grab 7th.
And there are the standings with Crevier taking his second Superbike win in a row. Then it's Pascal Picot, Lindley Clark with a brilliant ride up from 9th. Michael Taylor and Jeff Gaynor on the lone Suzuki. In 6th, it's the talented Benoit Pilon, followed by Ruben McMurder with that last-second lunge over his teammate Brisson, followed by Maisonneuve and Wykes.
They're the Superbike point standings after 5 of 6 races. It's going to be a real war at Shannonville between Clark, Crevier, and Picot.
Steve Crevier receives the Tom Walther Memorial Trophy from Michel Mercier, and here's Pat with the presentation.
So Steve Crevier becomes the first rider to win the National Superbike event this year from the pole position. He's also moved into second place in the points. In fact, just 6 points now separate the top 3 riders, Lindley Clark, Steve Crevier, and Pascal Picot. The showdown is coming up at Shannonville. For Craig Hill, I'm Pat Gonzalez. We'll see you next from Shannonville Motorsport Park in Ontario. So long from CircuitDeuxMontagnes.